Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patchanee Malikhao, or you could call me Pat. I would like to talk about this one, culture, religion, and HIV/AIDS in Thailand. Actually, it's written out in my book. Here it's called Sex in the Village, Culture, Religion, and HIV/AIDS in Thailand. And this book I intend to give it to the center of Professor Chayan, together with the book of Professor Service. But I would like to just talk a little bit about structure of this book. And I would like to have it like interactive question answer rather than me lecturing to you for the whole hour. So I would like to talk about a little bit about how globalization has an impact on Thai culture. The definition of globalization I'm using here is of Hopkins, which he is a historian. So globalization, in fact, started since long time ago. So we have 4 phases of globalization: archaic globalization, which started in beyond the 1500s, and proto-globalization, which started from then until I think, one moment, I have to check, the 18th century. And then we have the globalization, which is about 18th to the 20th century. Globalization, we call, is kind of post-colonial era. And now this era we call contemporary globalization. And how it affects Thai culture, then I would like to say that Thai culture has 2 distinguished features. That is patriarchy, which leads to female subordination, and as well as the Thai Buddhist worldview. And that's as a result of the 4 phases of globalization. And how would that affect the sexuality of the people? That in those days we were kingdoms in the archaic globalization. So the overlord who conquered the other kingdoms would take other people's, the other lords' wives to become their concubines. So that started from there. And then in the era of proto-globalization, that continued. Then Siam, in those days not Siam, but is Ayutthaya, accepted the Devaraja, the divinity from the Khmer globalization, the Cambodian civilization, and that adopted in the hierarchical culture since then. And people, we started to notice that people in those days had sex before marriage, and that was recorded in many archives, that people eloped and then they got asked for forgiveness for the parents. And then later on in the globalization period, we got influence from the Victorian culture, from interaction with many European countries, actually a long time ago, but more in terms of sexuality. We got the Victorian culture that we accepted that there must be no premarital sex. Then that started then. So that's the exchanging of sexuality, sexual norms and values. And later on, when we had the Vietnam War, during the war, Thailand had become hubs of recreation of the GIs, and then sexuality, the Thai's sexuality has become commercialized then. And just because of the Thai culture that the patriarchy was embedded in the culture. So at that time of the abolishment of slavery, those slave wives has become free, and they had to earn a living, become sex worker. And because of the taboo, no premarital sex, the Thai men would seek for the third party go to sex workers, and that was the problem about related to HIV/AIDS later, that in the early 80s, Thai men got HIV from another man, and that spread it to the heterosexual males through via sex workers in the very beginning. But later on, that was started from the sex worker to the wives, because the Thai men visited sex workers and have still have the wives, and then the wives to the children. But these days, the sexuality has become blurred, that there's no more brothels anymore. And in the 1970s, 1990s, early 1990s, there was a campaign called 100% condom control in brothels that enforced that Thai male have to use condoms before when they went to brothels. But these days, the culture has emerged into what I call hybridization of culture, meaning that you adopted Western values and so on, but you have merged it with your own traditional values. So it became a kind of new symbolic representation of the worldview, which I call it hybridized form, such as having sex on Valentine's Day. The first time on Valentine's Day never happened in the Western world, never happened here before. Thailand is a Buddhist country, as you know. There's no Valentine's celebration, so people started to mix it up. And then young generation started to have girlfriends and have their first sex with their girlfriends instead of sex with sex worker, or both. So it's a kind of more blurred area, sexuality. So it's more difficult for HIV prevention. Now, and then I would talk about more that I went to 2 villages in Chiang Mai. One is a Buddhist village, and another one is a Christian village. They are both Thai. The Christian one, they were an ethnic group called Daya. They got converted into Christianity by American missionaries in a long time ago, 50, 60 years ago. And they keep their unity by practicing, fundamentalist Protestantism. And the other one is a Buddhist village. And both villages, the 2 religious leaders launched their HIV/AIDS prevention campaign by all kind of means, like filming, seminar, teaching the youth to launch their performing arts and singing and band and campaign in the village to prevent HIV. So I went there to interview and survey, asking about their worldview, to study their worldview and how they look at the HIV/AIDS, how they understand the concept of HIV/AIDS. Now I have to refer a little bit back to why religious leaders had to launch HIV/AIDS campaign that started from the UN agencies, that in the 1992, that they think that it's kind of diffusion model of communication, a 2-step control in those days, that you have a religious leader that they think that HIV/AIDS is a problem of morality. So you use religious leaders to teach you to have sexual moral, to in a Buddhist way, to adhere to the 5 precepts of Buddhism, that you're faithful to your spouse, you don't drink alcohol, intoxicants, and so on. And for the Christian, you have to be faithful and so on, your 10 commandments. So that they think that having being input by the religious leaders to have this kind of morality, and then would prevent you from what we call immoral behavior, like contracting HIVs and that kind of stuff. So I went there to make research and found out that in fact sexual morality doesn't need to be related to being religious at all. So you can have your own morality without being religious. But the more important that I learned is that the worldview of the people could affect your behavior a great deal. The pastor who keeps on preaching about HIV/AIDS, that condom is bad, you don't use condom unless you already had HIV. You have to be faithful. Faithful is the best solution. Being faithful. So, but it's turned out that the people in that village, they are not faithful at all, even though they are very religious. But the Buddhists who like to talk, the Buddhists like to talk under the belt a lot, drinking a lot, and but they seem to have less problem of promiscuity than the Protestants. So you can see that the worldview, the Buddhists, they are not religious. You see that Thai Buddhism is a mixture of Brahmanism, animism, and Theravada or Theravada Buddhism, which is the Buddhism as told from the mouth of the Buddha 2,500 something years ago. But then we mix it up with the Brahmanism during our globalization period, so it came out into kind of what I call cocktail Buddhism. So people would worship some ghosts, some spirits, they have spirits, and so on and so forth, and they are not as religious if you measure them with a scale like you do with the Protestant. They all get 100% very religious, but in fact what you say is not what you do. You say that you are faithful to your wife and this and that, and later and I found that the youth in the Protestant village, they already had premarital sex against the advice of the pastor, and they don't use condoms at all, because the pastor keeps preaching that your faithfulness is the best policy, so you don't need them. Okay, so that's how the ABC, the abstinence, be faithful, and use condom of the West got interpreted into two villages differently. For the Buddhists, they say abstinence doesn't work at all. It already changed. Our culture has changed. People are dating with using mobile phone, motorbikes. No one walked anymore to school. No one biked anymore. It's kind of inferior if you use a bicycle. Everyone has to get a loan to get a motorcycle in order to bike to ride to school. The teacher in a school said that he would feel humiliated if he couldn't go to school by at least a motorbike. So because people would look down if you are poor or something like that. So the culture has changed tremendously from when I was young, and the dating behavior, and people, students now, they go live in a dorm. They don't live with parents anymore. That's why the premarital sex is happening. I don't say that 100%, at more, about 30% and so on, that started to be that. So the villagers say it's not possible to practice according to what UN agencies say, abstinence, and be faithful. Thai men are not faithful. They all say that. Thai men are not faithful. So they say, I have B as behavior change. You have to change your behavior. You don't drink. You have something else to do. And the way to prevent girls from being sex workers in Bangkok is to have a strong community. So they have their own banking system. They save, and they have all extra income activities. And that would prevent, when you have more money, you can earn income. People have more dignity. They don't sell their girls into prostitution. And that would stop HIV in a way, but not from going to the church, to the temple, and listen to the sermons, and then you have morality in a way that some monks, Buddhist monks, or the pastor talk about HIV/AIDS is like it's immoral. You are promiscuous. That's why you got AIDS, and so on. It's even more them negative branding to these people, even worse. So I think that the worldview is very important about to change the behavior. So you have any?
I have some questions.
Yep.
You say the young people. So what age is that? Does it also apply to the older generations? Have they changed their behaviour with the times, as the times have become motorbikes and mobile phones? Because in Britain we've seen that with sexuality, where that now people have phone apps and they have hookup apps where you can anonymously date with somebody. That the older generation's behaviour has also changed and they've become more promiscuous.
Promiscuous. That is. It helps in a way. I mean, the adults that I studied, they are like from teenagers, you know, and 13 until 19. Beyond that, we don't call them adolescent anymore. And for the people, yes, of course, but it's not only technology. Technology also shapes the behavior, but also the economy. The people in the village say that because of the booming economy during the Chachai government, that they changed the battlefield into a marketplace. People started to sell their land, and they became king for a while, using a lot of money, ended up in a nightclub and contract HIV as a result. So that's a thing. They don't like that kind of a sudden wealth. They just want a more sustainable thing, but they learn it the hard way. But HIV/AIDS, what HIV/AIDS give a lesson for, what lessons HIV give to the people is that people learn that, and that generation they learn about the suffering, the worst case scenario, that the people that they love die, so they are afraid of it, and then they just stop their behavior, not the technology, the fear response. But the new generation, they didn't face that period, so they don't even know. And I went to interview Kun Michai Veerawaitya, who was in those days the condom king. He's the one who campaigned on TV and media and so on. He was known abroad somewhere that as a condom king, the one who prevent who's a champion of the birth control of Thailand, and he also was against HIV/AIDS and so on. But then the people, the young generation, they don't know him at all. Even the teacher who taught sex education in school, they don't know him. So you know along abroad, but you don't know in your own country. That's strange. But for Kun Michai, he said that condoms is girl's best friend. He said that condom is girl's best friend. So he says the culture has changed.
But he means a male condom, not the female condom.
They use more male condoms. Okay. But well, we can talk more about the prevention. There are three things: medical intervention, male condom, female condoms, circumcision, anything, etc. And you have behavioral change prevention, including the school-based education and counseling and testing, and also structural change, like the imposing 100% condom control. In those days, it worked then, but it doesn't work now because the sexuality has changed, and there's no brothel anymore. There has spread into many kind of establishments like cattle markets and karaoke bars and restaurants and so on. So you cannot go after them anymore. So that's why he said a condom is a girl's best friend.
Okay, and then another question. You said in the Buddhist village they say Thai men are not faithful. Now in Britain and some other, I think, Western countries, but I know for Britain recently there's been some survey on this, and what they used to find is they would ask about the number of sexual partners, and always they would get men saying that they had more sexual partners than women. And recently it started to change and the numbers are much more even. There's still a number of women who are prostitutes have a huge number of sexual partners, but if you take away the extremes, if you start to, chop off the ends, then you're now finding it's coming much closer. So women have become more open about admitting their sexuality to surveys and researches, whereas before, even to researchers, they wouldn't do that. So I wonder, what's the situation in Thailand? Is there that difference, or are women just as unfaithful as men?
I still believe that, I can't use the word believe. According to research, that 30% of Thai males in Bangkok, they are not faithful, like and more less in a rural area. But then for the female, because of the patriarchal value, female are subordinate, to the Thai males. So they are still less. According to my research, they are still more faithful to spouse. But of course, there are some cases that a man contracted HIV from his own spouse as well, but much less.
Because it seems to be related it's been related to women's lib. People have said that now women are more liberated, the women are less in the home and controlled, and therefore more opportunities arise. So that's one possible.
That is also possible, but there is also in the framework of the Thai culture where the women are taught not to talk about sex, how to behave properly and that kind of stuff. So it's still in there. What I call I call the emphasis more is that the hybridization is not like they're gonna behave the way the British girls behave, but they have more their own way, like the hunting for partners of youngsters in a certain group, the girls, like as a badge of honor if you have sleep with a number of boys and so on. So they also have that, and they also have like nudity, people who post nude and so on. That never happened before. It happened now, kind of.
So
and sometimes
mixed sexuality quite strongly.
Yeah. Okay. So sexuality doesn't mean that you have that. It's part of it is sexual behavior. Part of it is something else. The sensuality, the whatever, and you see more and more of the homosexual group that they came out, and you see more, and that the homosexuality among Thais, they are different from what you know in the Western world. They have more types and they're more fluidity than what you experience. Yeah.
Do you have any data that how many people, boys and girls, are getting HIV virus in Thailand, and do they have any, just rehabilitate those people or to save those people or make it separate so they will not contaminate other people?
I think right now they are about more than 500,000 people who has been affected with HIVs, and of course there are more males than females, but the ratio of male female is becoming like more females got more from the males. This is more heterosexual male actually that give it to their wife, and then later on to the children.
Do they have, the government has any project that who have been what's called getting the HIV virus? Do they have any things, any projects so they can support them to separate them so they will not
Yeah, that's what I'm talking in my book. There are two approaches. One is the AIDS colony, where you put HIV people together. That was done by the Phabat Nampu temple or the other temples. That one is more, that costs a lot of money, needs donation, and it's a kind of a pit of pitiful people will sympathize and send money, and then some people just dump their relatives who had HIV, who still can work and function, just in front of the temple so the monks could pick up. That's not what we want. We want a holistic approach that you would integrate that HIV people into the community, taken care of by their relatives, and they have good knowledge about how to handle palliative care. So that's how the monk group and the pastor group approach this problem by including them in the community, and then at the same time educating the people how to live with them without discrimination, and then create the income generating projects for the pastor, the Protestant village, they have the biopig farms, they have their iodine salt, they have their own co-op, they could save, they have their own bank and so on. So they don't have any girls need to be the sex worker somewhere. So that's how it works. Then, and also for the Buddhists, they also have their own banking, and they hire someone from outside to teach them how to do accountancy and so on. And the girl and the women, they have their own weaving baskets and whatever to create more income, the sausages and so on. So that's how a strong community should work and should do and should take care of their own ailing, dying people, and that's with dignity, of course, so that people are respected. And HIV/AIDS people are not people who just looked down upon. They are people who actually, if you take good antiretroviral medicine, then you can function. And they also have their work group, and they also create their own group to support each other. And the monks are who work there. He used, the monk that I interviewed was kind of pimp, providing sex workers to people before, and then he turned over a new leaf, became a monk. So he knows the problem. Yeah.
I have two questions.
Yep.
One is, I would like to understand more about the difference in homosexuality that you pointed at. What kind of difference, and also how is the HIV situation perhaps different among homosexuals in Thailand as compared to other countries? This is my first, what I'm wondering about. And the next is that I learned in Bangkok from Busakorn that there is, I Googled then and I found articles that the surgeons in Thailand have a new niche, that not all Thai wives whose spouses are faithful are simply accepting it passively, but that there is a very drastic method here in Thailand that I did not know about, namely the cutting of the penis, and that the Thai surgeons have a new niche in Thailand to reattach penises, and that the wives want to hinder that. So there are, I read, especially feeding the penis to the ducks,
yes,
because the ducks
right.
like it, and then to put it on an air balloon so that it disappears, or to put it into a septic tank, or to destroy it so that it cannot be recovered and reattached. And Busakorn said some men have an ice box somewhere in their closet where they could put the penis quickly and go to the surgeon.
Okay, let me address the first question, homosexuality. I said about fluidity in homosexuality is because some male are male sex worker to homosexuals, but they are actually hetero. So they have a wife, and they earn a living by being sex worker of the homo person. So that's how they spread it to their wife or their girlfriends, because they are not actually born a homo. And there was also we have more words about like Tom, D, and the girls who cross-dress like a male, and so on. There are so many varieties of them. So that's why they say the Asian homosexuality is more fluidity, because they are not strictly homo. They can also go into the hetero area and so forth. And then that's how HIV spread from the homo to hetero. How would it be happen? It wouldn't confiscated only in the area of homosexual, and it started with homo, and then it started to the hetero, and the sex worker also, of course, spur the spread. But now they are more casual sex. That's what they call. So it's go anywhere, but it's still strong high in the homosexual area again. So, but there are a lot of association and educated themselves and so on, peer to peer and so on. But it's still among its high. Why? Condom is also has a negative connotation. it's against intimacy. People were, even though people were hetero, they say, if you trust me, even a guy who frequent sex worker, and when they become acquainted, they just don't use the condom. So if you see the condom as a anti-intimacy, so it's not going to work. So you have to do something with communication, like him, expert in communication, to make condom accepted. And there was a campaign that say, ยืดอกพกถุง or using a condom with pride or something, advertise. You still need social marketing. You still use. And the Thai government has used a lot of techniques or campaigns in a multi-sectoral fashion, that you have community-based, like the villages that I studied, also the clinic, anonymous clinics, and also social marketing approach via at that time there was 2 years of heavily campaign against HIV/AIDS and so on, and of course that cost a lot of money. At one time the government branded it that, like, if you have AIDS you're gonna die, and that created a lot of suicidal issues among the people, and that's not correct. So now they corrected it into a better positive way of campaigning. So there are a lot of things, and now they launch also sex education, and you know that since 2004, and now it's on sex education in the curriculum. They started to learn in schools about gender issue and so on. So I went there to do research, check the curricula and the textbooks, and interview the students, and that's all in this book. It's not very successful now. The concept of violence and so on is still there. Gender violence against gender, females and so on. And now come to your second part. The cutting of the penis is a behavior of anger or whatever. That's also a part of violence, isn't it? So violence is embedded in the culture long ago. So why we don't have a kind of course that teach people how to control emotion, and then they come back to the Thai culture. Smoothness, relationship is aspired. So you have to talk to each other in a middle way, and so on. You keep your composure. If you're not happy, you keep it inside. That's why becoming Thai is a smiling country, smiling people, smiles. But when people get angry, what are you doing? So you see that gossiping, rumor against others, bombing, killing, hire gun, that come out because that's kind of extreme. You compress your anger and so on. That's the same way that the wife who got, of course, suppressed a lot from the male, can't say anything, can't negotiate, and then she just did it in a violent way, cutting the penis. We are not talking about how great Thai doctors are, about connecting them back and whatever, but we're going to go to the root cause of it is the anger management that we don't have in that culture. In this culture, smoothing relationship is part of any Asian culture, that you have to talk to each other in a nice way and so on. But now you see it during the demonstrations, you see that people using more rude words, expression more and more violent in words. You see that we call it ahimsa. It's not only in action but also in words. That needs to be taught. That needs to be addressed in school. If the parents had no time because they were both working, it has to be done in school. And then you see that a lot of some teachers on the news, you see that teachers even one teacher forced a student to eat dog poop. That's a form of humiliation, isn't it? So you can't say that humiliation is only in ethnic minorities. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's in a culture of hierarchy. It's in a hierarchical culture like Thai culture. I'm a Thai myself. I'm not going to sell my country out for you guys. There are good things about Thailand. But there are also, I have to admit that there are also some defects in our culture. And I believe that the culture can change and can develop into a better level. So if we realize that violence is embedded in the culture, then we need to address that. Otherwise, we're going to kill each other to death just because other people think differently from us, and we cannot accept it. It has to be taught in school.
I want to ask something earlier. You said about
I don't have ice block.
me neither.
I'm only a Thai man.
Okay, no ice in the closet.
No, not even refrigerator.
Needs to be said.
So I want to meet Pusakon too. That person.
Yeah.
I have some question about this.
Yeah.
It's a very quick question. You mentioned in the community one of the things that spread HIV in some countries is prisons. Does that play a role in Thailand?
There are more of IDU users who have got have higher rate of prevalence of HIV because of the sharing of needles as a medship.
Do they have needle exchange here? Does it exist?
You know, I asked. Yes. There was another approach which say, use clean syringe, which in Australia they advocate for it.
We do it in Britain.
Yeah, in Britain and Australia, but here it's like the approach like Reagan. So you think that individual that if you do it, in Thai we say that you are giving an example for others to copy you. So it's not good for the Thai. But I don't think that approach would work. I mean, the way of thinking that you are yourself to blame for drugs or for whatever. You have to think of in the context. We are not floating out of our context. You have to see the environment, the decaying neighborhood, the peer groups and so on that force you to do drugs. It's not your own fault. So that's why you say if you provide the syringe, it's going to have more people who get infected because you give them the tools to do so. That's the way of thinking, like individualistic way, not in a contextual way. So but a lot of people who think like this in Thailand. So you need to change your mindset about it.
Could you elaborate a bit more on sexuality and patriarchy? Because I think it's important for all of us to know better how that affects the behavior of girls or females.
You mean dated back in the globalization period, or this?
Socio-demographic and socio-economic issue rather than putting gender in a static way. There is of course a dynamic interaction between Thai culture, globalization, and sexuality. Starting from in the olden days where Thai men had a lot of mistresses like 100 years ago, as the numbers of mistresses is an indication of your power. It's a power game that you have a lot of wives. In those days, they have Thai feudal system. You have a lot of lands and you have a lot of wives. And there are people who love to submit their daughter to the guy, to the Lord, to have connection to the person in power. So that's also happened here in Chiang Mai, where Chao Dara Lasami was sent at the age of 13 to be one of the wives of King Rama V, right? So she was from Chiang Mai family. So that was the thinking in those days, but not anymore now. So but the norm is that they allow that it's tolerated that the Thai male can have more than one wife. It's still there, even though we have Monogamy Act in the 19th century, as part of Thailand. Wanted to be recognized as independent country and a civilized country, so we changed a lot of laws and so on, and speed ourselves up. And we call it internal colonization. We are not being colonized by any superpower, but we colonized ourselves, just like Bangkok colonized Chiang Mai.
and as a result, the dialects of Chiang Mai is gone. So something like that. So gradually, the female, you have to say that Thai female are one of the best in Asia who got managerial positions. They got education and so on. So they are not going to tolerate the idea of male having a lot of wives anymore. So you see a lot of divorce rates going up. But they are still in practice that when you have money, you tend to have more than one wife. So there was of course an association or whatever to say to vote for one man, one wife, or the wife Mia Luang, or the major wife association, whatever. So that kind of thing is also in existence. But that's what I said. If you see this, there is a tendency to be more monogamy, like a globalized trend as well. But then you see when the adolescents, they tend to have hybridized culture, like one girl can have many boyfriends and one guy can have many girlfriends in an equal amount. So I'm so excited to see how it's going to change. This is a big change now. So I can't say whether it's going better or going worse, but now it's more acceptance that, okay, monogamy in words. You see about the sexual survey or research, people don't say what they do. They want to say anything to make them look good all the time.
Can I ask a question? Well, you made some very good points. The connections you made between patriarchy, power control, violence, and corporate globalization, increasing poverty, the need to create jobs, and real sustainability, going back to Shell's workshop. What makes me curious is what you said about Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I assume, a relatively recent phenomenon.
Yes.
Who was pushing? Was there a PR campaign by candy makers to get youth to buy candy to celebrate Valentine's Day? And how did this come about? That this is going to be okay to have premarital sex on Valentine's Day?
Well,
and related to that, I would assume that when you're talking about teenagers in that context, right?
Yes.
So if they're teenagers, I would have assumed that the teenagers the boys would not have sex with sex workers. Is that a wrong assumption? Boys also go to sex workers? Girlfriends?
In those days, the teenage boy would experience their first sex with sex worker.
These days.
In those days, and these days more with girlfriend. But they still go to sex worker though. Massage parlor, they still do. Some do both.
At what age? What's the age of consent, and what age are people actually active?
The age of consent, I don't think we have the age of marriage at 17, right, for girls. But the age of consent, I don't think we have that concept. Like underage girl, like under 15 or something, if you have sex with them, you go to jail or something like that. But
so for the girls, it's say 15.
15 up. But in the rural areas, girl can get pregnant at the age of 14, 13. That's normal too. But what you said about the Valentine's, how it comes, I think it's a global trend. It's not only in Thailand, even in Belgium where I lived for 10 years. It's a Dutch culture. They don't have Valentine. Valentine is actually American. So it comes now in commercialized fashion, and you have Valentine's Day in Belgium. People buy roses and so on. So it's everywhere. And now how it comes about that you have first sex for the first time on Valentine's Day, I think it's the interpretation of the Thais. Probably only because I talk to American friends, they don't know about it, they never heard about it, they were shocked to hear about it. There was on newspaper that, okay, there were more first sex on Valentine's Day, the girls would like to to do this, to do that on Valentine's Day. So there was like a prevention as well. So it's been that's going on in there. Or not only Valentine's Day, they also on like a Thong or whatever, the full moon, whatever day. So it's kind of hybridized. It never happened then here. It never happened in the West, but it's just happening.
It's very interesting, I think, that, because if you go to Egypt, if you go to Finland, their concept of Valentine's Day is Friend's Day. So when I had my Finnish girlfriend, she was saying, "Oh, let's send some. I want to send some Valentine's presents to your parents. Valentine's cards." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
Because in England, the concept is Valentine's Day when you're not in a relationship, and you want to be in a relationship, and you kind of reveal it through a secret card. But now it's changed, and it's actually people who are in a relationship show their romance to each other. So it's not even tradition as it should be is being twisted.
I think part of it is also the social media network that make people express more. You know, people never before telling people what I eat, what I do, sharing with each other your intimacy, and that is now also being spread among the teenagers here, that you know that they are dating now using the social network and a mobile phone, and they meet each other and so on. That come about. So I would like to use Thompson's I wouldn't call it concept, notion that you know, global diffusion and local appropriation. So whatever happened in the global, you appropriate it and you just make it to suit your need. That's what it is. That's what it is about everything about HIV prevention in Thailand, where they interpret it differently from the global trend or the sexuality, and sometimes it turned out to be worse because you mix with your traditional values. Like you have a girlfriend, you have sex with your girlfriend, but you're not faithful to your girlfriend. You see, you remember your traditional values. You have a lot of people, so you hop from one to each other. So the girls are the most in a vulnerable position. They can be dumped anytime. He can hop on and so on, and the situation may be not permanent, just for a while, and then move on.
So the situation for women has become more vulnerable?
Maybe not. If you see from the girl's perspective, the girls can dump the guys as well these days. So we don't know whether it's going for, I'm not going to judge whether it's positive or negative. I just observe how it has changed. But you can see that why we call it local appropriation, because of you have to see from the historic perspective that we have these phases of subordination, and it's mixed now with the globalized trend, and it emerged as a new value and new symbolic representation. That's what I like you to pay attention.
Do you, what's been observed in France and a little bit in London, not so much as in France, is that women, particularly women who are very vulnerable women and who tend to fall victim to gangs or peer pressure, are using sex much more as in transactional ways, and also in revenge ways and control ways. So there's almost an expectation that if a girl is cheeky to someone, for example, or is rude to somebody, then she can be raped, and that was fair because she was cheeky to that person or rude to that person. So that's not in the whole of the culture, but there's a significant part of the culture where that's there.
That's also
is that happening as well?
That's also happened long ago in historic period, where the girl was a woman who pretend to be like cheeky to the enemies or whatever. That happened also in the past. But well, these days you see that the girls tend to have more idea of women's lip and so on. You know, we get the idea from the Western world, but sometimes the idea that you just watch from the Hollywood movies. That's the main thing, that you think that the Western will behave that way, and they forgot that the Western people, when live together, they are quite faithful to each other, but they just got that idea of having girlfriends, but the faithful element is missed out.
They see it as reality as well. I've read this. That people, they watch a movie and that's reality in the West, not that's a story. You see that a movie, you forgot to realize the movie ends in 2 hours or 1 hour and something. People meet
people, you must have sex, you have much violence in there, and to make it entertaining and end with going to bed or whatever together. So people here watch it and they thought it was a lifestyle of the West. You meet for 1 hour and you must have sex or whatever, so you think like that. And then they blame the Western as promiscuous people. You remember, they think that Western people are promiscuous. What a movie or whatever. So you got a case that white girls got raped here a lot. Why? Because you dress, they say, in a sensual way, you're inviting for rape. I interview a lot of boys in school. They say the raping is a mistake, it's a faulty mistake of the girls who wear sensual clothes. They don't control their own self. They blame it to the girl. Even though these days when we have sex education.
Did you have slut walk here?
So I just would like.
Sorry?
Did you have slut walk here?
What does it mean?
Okay, I explained. There was a Canadian police officer who said, well, look, if you go out dressed like that, as a slut, then you put yourself at risk. And as a result, many people said, this isn't fair, it's never justified to rape someone by the way they are. The person committing the crime is at fault. So many women did slut walks in Finland and many countries. And they
I see. I see. I know what you mean.
Yeah, wearing short skirts is, I think it was called slut walk.
I see. People here still wear uniform to school. Still, even though there was a movement. Yeah. So they well, you can see people with tube tops and so on, but they don't go to school like that because we still. These days you still say Thai people are very concerned about people who wear improper to go to government officials' buildings or universities, or temples. You still have not to reveal your shoulder and so on, or too short. You have to wear sarong or something. It's still okay, not more decent. But then you see Western girl, white girl wearing like this, so they say, you asked for it, or you're on the beach and so on. That people who come from abroad have to be careful. All right.
May I just say that we are now 20 minutes to 6. We have no. Please let us have your comments. Please. But I just wanted to make you aware.
Can I say something? Because I think I have a few ideas to share.
Could you move a little bit? Could you move a little bit, please? We want to have your.
Sure, there's first of all, I'm not sure whether we can call Thai family or Thai society as a patriarchal. If you compare with Chinese or Japanese. In fact, if you are talking about Thai family, particularly Northern Thai family or Northeastern Thai family, here we have what we call the matrifocal, female center. Not matriarchal. So there's a different
female center. Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Here we practice matrilocality. So I think I'm not sure whether you can describe Thai family as patriarchal.
Patriarchal, I mean, it's a worldview, not the practice. Yeah.
But different from. Of course, there are some the recognized importance of male head of the family.
Yeah.
I would rather use the term Thai masculinity.
Thai masculinity.
Rather than
macho. Yeah, Thai macho or concept Thai men.
Which you can see from Thai literature, Thai song.
Yeah.
Like the one who has a magic power.
Yeah, who
travels.
Yeah, who have sex with animals.
But the one who become like what we call that in Latin America.
Macho.
No. Famous Don Juan.
Don Juan. Yeah.
That's the one who can win many people.
Yeah.
Also, sometimes they also have. They have to be showing that they have some power.
Right.
Yeah. So in other words, Thai men would be socialized to some kind of drinking when they reach 17 years old. learn how to do box, for example, learns how to code women. So that I think there's a difference between patriarchy and masculinity. Second, I think I'm not sure whether we can explain this phenomenon through cultural value, but there is also some. I think we should also take into consideration, particularly when we talk about the spread of HIV/AIDS and commercial sex, by looking at the socio-economic changes. For example, during the period of 1850s to maybe 1930, before the World War II, Thailand invited many Chinese workers for doing, for example, tin mining, construction works, or even the railroads from Bangkok to Chiang Mai was constructed by Chinese coolies. Many like sawmill, rice mill were handled by Chinese workers. During the modernization period, during Kingdom was done by foreign workers, particularly Chinese. And these Chinese people came alone, not with their family. So one strategy to control them, or quote unquote control, is to let them stay in one quarter and allow, for example, gambling, opium, and also
prostitution. Yeah.
So that was the kind of the booming of the sex worker during the Bangkok period. Of course, another wave is during the Vietnam War, during the what we call the sex sands and the 3S, sex sands and I cannot remember. It's the recreation program provided by the GIs
R&R,
from Vietnam. Those jet fighters who flew from Udon Air Base to bomb
Vietnam,
to bomb Da Nang and flew back, and then they are given some incentive to take a recreation to Pattaya. That's why Pattaya emerged as the center of the commercialization.
But then at that time there was not about the AIDS.
Then when we talk about the HIV/AIDS, of course, it's not only the commercial sex work, not because of the GI or the demand or sexuality by men, by Thai men, but you have to look at this. The opening up of the space in the urban area. Young people want to come to work in urban center or get educated. During that time in 1960s, 70s, young women I'm talking about Northern Thai villages. Northern Thai people believe in their ancestral spirits on the female side. In the old days, even the Thai people, they shoot bitter nut. Even you throw the bitter nut to a girl, that is considered to be violating the ancestral spirit. You cannot touch a woman. So in other words, there were some norms and regulation to control sexual behavior among the young people in the village. And more than that, these people are under the eyes of
spirits,
villages and kinsmen, their parents. But in the 80s, when these young men move from rural areas to stay in Chiang Mai, for example, they are not being controlled through the rules of ancestry. They are not in the eyes of their parents. They don't hear gossip among the villages, but they hear in a dormitory behind the university. No one sees them. So there's the violation of ancestry is no meaning at all.
That's what I
And another example, if you go to the night bazaar tonight, you look for some massage parlors, some bars that cater to a male, particularly the foreigners. So these are young Shan boys or Burmese boys who work in massage parlors.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them got married, as we said. They have wives. But because they have no other ways to earn money, they have to work in massage parlor. And of course, the implication if they work there is that they have to work with their partners, his customers. And some of them, of course, not only needing massage, traditional massage, but something else. Not all, but more often than not, they become sexual. And these are those who Chiang migrant workers who have no ID cards, no citizenship. So they are in that kind of situation that they have to enter into commercial sex industry.
Yeah, that's what I said in the book as well
So
about
it's not the culture, but it's from me, an anthropologist.
Yeah, I know. It's also economy, cultural, economy, political. Yeah. No, I don't blame the culture. I try to analyze.
But there are certain circumstances that we need to take into consideration.
Thank you. I try to analyze, though I don't blame the culture. I also said that
to use the word blame, but
globalization is also. I interviewed one monk. He said it's like snake is eating its tail. Now, before you recruit the people in peasant from the poor to work as whatever in Bangkok, and now we are recruiting the minorities, the ethnic minorities, to work, and also in the sex working area as well. So
and also, if you look at another phenomenon, you can say globalization too. What is called in academic terms transnational marriage. Among most of them, you can find these cases in the northeastern area, where men from European countries, like Norway, Denmark, Germany, particularly Netherlands, particularly the old one.
Yeah, the old one with young girls.
They come here to find their young bride.
A nurse bride.
Maybe
right, nurse bride.
Their retirement.
Yes.
One of the reasons.
Yes.
Or for their partner. In other words, they are like a migratory birds.
Yeah.
In the winter time, they come over here to stay with their wife, but in the other time they are living, working in their own country. But what is interesting is that the mother or even the grandmother of these women encourage their daughters to get married. But of course, it's not purely on economic reasons, but there are some other values. You can say that local appropriation that can be done, but also it means that they can earn a lot of money from their foreign husband. They can build houses.
Status
for the parents.
Yeah.
They can support their brothers, or they can even support their own kids to school. Some of these girls have no land.
And they even
have less education.
And they donate to the temples a lot.
So the contact point is in Pattaya. So they go first to Pattaya to meet with possible partners. Maybe they try to.
They hope.
Meet for 3 weeks, or 1 month, or 3 months, and then next year they get married.
Once I've been.
Again, here, if you are talking about Thai women, we also have to talk about the opposite. Thai men and also their foreign husband or foreign partners. And not only people who are in Bangkok, but also people who are poor or who are less, who are in the lower social status.
There were a lot of studies about migrants, about HIV/AIDS related to the migration of the people because of poverty, loneliness, that they frequent sex workers and so on. At one point, there was like not knowing a lot about the transmission, but right now you see that people had a lot of knowledge about HIV, but they still contract it. It's not about knowledge anything, but it's at a volition and at that moment, or maybe drunk or whatever, that they didn't use condom and they just got it and then maybe transmitted to something else. Thank you.
I think we have, Victoria. I just want to. Perhaps just that we have your question in our minds.
All right, then, because it's a big subject, so don't think you need a discussion. I was interested in your comments about violence, that it's in Thai nature, and I find that interesting coming here as an outsider and seeing one of the things I've treasured is the Buddhist perspective that you don't see people that are hot, they're boiling, and it just overflows. You don't see it on the outside, whether it's simmering on the inside internally in families. That's surprising to me. So for us to reflect on for another day is this a phenomenon that has come through globalization with women's rights, with media, with seeing women, standing up to their man? Or is this something that is, an inherent human characteristic that makes me angry and I need revenge or I need to act it out somehow, but you don't see it on the outside?
I don't see it's a globalized thing. I think it's from a historic perspective, it was there. In those, you see, but in those days when someone, not violence, it's when someone wanted to be king in Ayutthaya period. If you want to be king, you assassinate the former king, but you kill 7 generations up, you kill 7 generations down to prevent the revenge, right? So, but then now you hear from the newspaper a lot, and there was like research done, and it says the murdering, the case, and so on, the killing each other for the Thai violence rate is quite high.
But this, this cutting of penis and this, is this something that's new?
That was not new. I heard of it since I was young, about news about it.
Burning inside of women, did I miss something?
Well, you have to. There are ways of studying culture, like what I say, or worldview, value, symbolic representation, like, and social organization. So you can use that three elements to analyze Thai culture. Maybe right, maybe wrong, maybe because, but culture is a consequence of a lot of things, also economic, political, a lot of things that's going on. So it boils down then how to study that. We have four elements to look at it. So you can see, if you want to see how why the symbolic representation is cutting off the penis, and then you can see what the value is and what's the worldview. What is it for the female? Yeah. It's all related, yeah.
No, my question is related to what...
No, because we are now really, the van is starting, we're approaching. I think we should wrap up now, and we should go down. The van is waiting since half an hour now for us. And I simply want to thank...
Oh my gosh.
Thank you. Thank you.